Morning everybody, it's Marg with Creative Stamping with Marg. Welcome to another Wednesday video. Today we are going to be making a double book fold card. It's not difficult, but the reason that I really like it is it uses up some DSP. So I am trying to use up everything that's going to be retired and starting fresh when we get our new catalog. Okay, let's go down to my desk and I'll show you what I've got. Right. Now you can see on my desk I have the catalogs out, just as a reminder that this annual catalog and the mini catalog are ending as of the end of April. We get a new catalog May 1st. So there is a last chance list out and you'll see what's being carried over and what's not, and if there's any bargains to be had. Some of the things are up to 60% off. So you can check that out on my website. All right, so today I have made what's called a book fold card before, which means that it opens, has an edge like a book. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Today we're starting with Night of Navy cardstock. This piece is 4 1/4 by 6 1/2, 4 1/4 by 6 1/2, and you're going to score it at 5 1/2, so that you're going to have this flap at the front, and you'll see why we call it a book fold card when we get going. Now, your designer series paper, you need 2 pieces of designer series paper. I am using a retired package of paper called Sun Prints. Look, this is one of the pieces that I'm using, and this is the other piece I'm using. So 2 different patterns. They reverse over to gray granite. All right, now these are folded a little bit differently. Typically, you'll see a book fold card with the paper in it like this, and it opens like a book because this is going to be glued down. Well, this time we're going to use double the paper. So your first piece of designer series paper is 4 by 10, and I'm going to share with you how I scored it. I'm going to bring my paper trimmer over just to show you. I've already scored mine, of course, but I'm going to bring this into the camera so that you can see this. Move my things out of the way. All right. So one piece of paper is 4 by 10. One piece of paper is 4 by 8. Again, you have to look at your patterns. You have to decide which you want to be the outside and which you want to be the inside. It could be like this. And you can see these are offset, so you can see the edge of the inside of the paper. Or did you want it like this for the inside and this on the outside? So you have to decide that first. Once you've decided which way you want your paper to go, this is the 4 by 10 piece. We're going to put it into our paper trimmer, and I'm just scoring it. So we're going to score this one. And so I've got the inside of my paper facing me. This is going to be my outside. This is my inside. So I'm going to slide it in, and I'm going to score it at 3 3/4, so right there, like that. And I'm going to score it at 4 3/4, so 1 inch down, like that. And that's all the scoring I need to do to this piece. And it's going to fold like this. And because I put that extra score there, it's going to fold back. And you'll see how this all goes together inside of our book fold, like this. All right, so that's one of the pieces. The second piece I said was 4 by 8. We're going to put it in our scoreboard, and you're going to score it at 2 3/4. So that's here, 2 3/4, 3 3/4. So you just slide it down, and again, I'm looking at the inside of it, 3 3/4, and 4 3/4. So this one is scored 3 times. All right, so that's the front. When I fold it like on that 3 3/4 score line, that's the center of it. This piece is going to flip back, and this piece will flip back, because when we put them together, this is the double part. When we put them together into our card base, they're going to flip back like this, and this, and this. All right, so now you can see how you can see the edges And I will tell you, I watched a reel, a lady, her name is Verna Mullen, that did this. Stampin' Notes is her business name. And she doesn't give any measurements or anything. She just goes through this. And if you've ever seen a reel, they're fairly quick. So I kept pausing it and looking at what she did. And so I was able to figure it out. I'm not saying it's exactly the same as the way she did it, but I think I got it pretty close. All right, so we'll get rid of our trimmer. So what we're going to do first, we are going to take the bigger piece, the longer piece for the inside, and it's going to go in here, and you want it centered, and we're actually going to glue this back piece right down. So that part isn't going to flip up. So I'm going to use my Tombow glue. I will bring in my silicone mat. And so if I fold it like a book like that, I'm just going to be putting glue on the back of this. Like that, and it's going to be glued right down, and you want it centered from, you know, the top and the bottom are the same, and you have to make sure that your fold will still close, and it just gets glued down like that. So it's just the back piece is glued down like that. Now we're also going to glue together this part. So you can put glue just on one side, just to glue it together so that that part is going to be glued down also. So now it's just going to be folding like that, right? Okay, do our second one. This one is not going to be glued there. We just want it glued along this spine. So I'm just going to put glue on the back, and I'm fairly generous with this because I want it all to stay together. And it's already folded, so I'm just going to match it up with the piece I have already. Make sure it's straight. Okay, and there we go. So essentially that's our book fold, just like that. And we're going to decorate it all. You will need to make sure if your paper has any kind of direction that you have it the way you want it. Okay, this one didn't matter so much because it doesn't really have a direction. Okay, we're just going to pause for a second, and I have a piece of this navy cardstock that is, let me see, how big is this piece? 7/8 by 4 1/8, and I put it through the stripes embossing folder. And I'm just going to put it onto the front of that, just to give it some interest and texture. So we can glue that piece down. And again, this just is giving us just a little bit of an edge here, top to bottom, side to side, just like that. And we could just glue this down now, this front flap, but I'm going to put a piece of ribbon in. So I've knotted my ribbon, and I know it's too long, but I thought I would like it, just not sure how I want it to lay, but I think I want it like that. So I need my ribbon scissors to trim it off. What I think is the easiest way to do this is I'm going to put some Stampin' Seal. This is just the regular Stampin' Seal. I'm going to put it right down here, and that'll catch my ribbon. So I can put my ribbon in where I think I want it. Maybe I want it up here like this. And I'm going to just have it coming onto the Stampin' Seal. And I think I will trim this extra piece off because it doesn't need, we don't need any extra bulk in here. So I will do that. Then I'm going to take the other piece and pull it down so that it's going to be somewhat straight like that. And it's just on the Stampin' Seal. And the nice thing is you can pull it off the Stampin' Seal and it will release it. Okay, so that looks good. I like the look of that. And if I don't like its exact placement, I can always put a glue dot underneath it on the front. Okay, so now we want this front to be glued down. We're all set for that once you've got your ribbon in here. So I'm going to add some Tombow just to make sure that it stays in place. And this part, it is a little thick on the edge here. So this is something you might want to hold for just a minute to make sure that it stays in place. Okay, that should be good. Sorry, I'm shifting myself off of here. Okay, that should be good. Now, oh, I forgot to glue this piece down. See how that popped up? That reminded me that I forgot to glue this edge down. So we need to glue this just like we did on the other one and have it closed. There we go. Okay, so that's all good. Now you can see how the card works. And this would be a nice card if you had multiple people maybe signing, or yeah, so you can see how that works. It's a nice card. It does stand. I am a person that likes a card that stands up, so it does stand on its own. Now, the Sun Prints paper also kind of went with, I think when it was introduced, it went with the Stamp Set Nature's Prints, which is still current in our catalog right now. And I used the dies that come with that. So I have already stamped a greeting from that stamp set, You're on My Mind, and I did it in Night of Navy, and then I've stamped those dandelion spores, I think they're called, and they come from a really old set called Dandelion Wishes, but I've kept it because it has that and the dandelions, which I really like. And I like the wording, sending well wishes your way, which is what I'm putting on the inside of this card. So You're on My Mind is here. So I thought I could, this is the die from that set. So I cut it out on basic white, and I thought it just fits on the front of my card. I thought it looked kind of lost there. So I did cut a gray granite circle using the Stylish Shapes, and it just fits nicely behind. So I thought that looked good. Sort of set it off a little bit. And then I cut a bunch of the leaves and twigs and whatnot that come in this set. So with the dies, I cut some navy, I cut some white, there is Pacific Point, which is a retired color, but there is some Pacific Point in this also. So I've cut some of that. Those are the small ones. Then a really old set of dies had this beautiful fern in it, and I have kept it because of that. I really like this fern, so I thought, well, I could cut that out of white. And I didn't know if this is what I wanted, but I thought, you know, I can play around with it a little bit. You know how I like to arrange my flowers. Well, there we go. So something like that. I thought I could move this down. Not sure I want it up there. So I think I will put this together so you can see. So what I'm going to do is just put a little glue in the center here. That will glue that down. And I kind of want to make sure it's somewhat centered on there. And because this is a bit thicker, I don't know if I'm going to use a lot of dimensionals. I may put this up on dimensional so that I can tuck all these things underneath. Okay, so dimensionals I need. And I think I might just put the dimensionals on the white part, not on the gray. And then it maybe won't be lifted up too much. I'm hoping that's not a problem. Okay. And I think I will put it down a little bit here, and I'm just making sure when I put it in place that it's going to still open. So I'm not pressing it down yet. I want to make sure it's straight in my mind here. Okay, looks good. And then I think I will tuck all these things in here, and maybe I'll do it like that. And the navy and the Pacific Point. Now I've sort of covered up any of the Pacific Point that was on here, but there is some Pacific Point in here. So I think I like the look of that. I think I will just go ahead with my Tombow and put this in. Won't fuss too much about it. You can always trim this down a little bit if it's too long for your liking. Like that. Oops, it has to tuck in a bit more because I can't have it sticking off the top of my card, can I? Has to fit in the envelope. Okay. And then I think I'll just put this one in. I did cut some other pieces, but I will show you what I was thinking about them. Just a sec. There's that one and this one. Okay, there we go. I've been helping my friends move and unpack, and my hands are a disaster. I was noticing how dry and cracked they are today. Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. That looks okay. Now, my thought was I could put things on each page. So I have cut some other things. The wreath in here is very nice, and I cut one out of basic white, so it looked like this. I think that's how it looked. I'm not sure. Something like that. And I've cut it apart, as you can see. So I thought on the second page, I might just put this wreath on here, just a piece of it, just to give it some interest. Now, again, I want it tucked in behind here, so I'm going to turn it a bit and make sure that you can't see it when the card is closed. So I will add a little glue to that. I hope everybody's had some time to do some crafting. I hope you've had some time for some Easter crafts. I showed you my little table favors that I did, and I used the paper pumpkin, springtime, whatever it was called, with the bunnies in it. I used it for my Easter cards this year, and then I just made a couple of alternates and used them for my Easter cards. So my Easter cards are long gone in the mail, so that's good. Easter's this weekend for those that celebrate that. Now, another set of words out of here I have You're on My Mind, and I also chose Best Wishes and Happy Thoughts, and I stamped it on gray granite with the navy, and I thought it could go on here. And I thought I would put it somewhere else, not right where this one is, so that the bulk isn't there. And I do have another white circle, same size as the gray granite one on the front, and I thought I could repeat my look there. So I will do that. Now this one I will not put on dimensionals, because otherwise you've got too much bulk. I will just glue it down flat, and I don't think I'll have any greenery, any of that on this page. Okay, and again, I want it tucked in enough so that when this is closed, you're not going to see it. And I think I could tip it. Could tip it like that. Okay, Best Wishes and Happy Thoughts. There we go. That one, and then this last page, I have cut a piece of basic white. Let's see, how big is this piece? 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. And I stamped from the Dandelion Wishes. I think I said that already. I stamped Sending Well Wishes Your Way. So I stamped that on there, on the corner, and then I put the spores of the dandelion down the side. And again, I'm going to tuck it right in there so that when this closes, you can't see it. Oh, you can see I tried something else. One of the sprigs from this Nature's Prints, I did it in navy, but I didn't really like it. So I changed my mind and did something different. So good thing we have 2 sides to every paper. And you can always turn it over and do something else. All right, so I'm just going to center this basically top to bottom and to the edge, make sure it doesn't show. And there's the inside of our card. So now it can be decorated even more. If you wanted to put some more things in here, you could. I cut some other branches out. I could have put some of these in there with this if I wanted to make it a little more interesting. I could have done that. I could have added some things to this, but I think it looks, you hate to put too much into it because you don't want the card to be too thick for mailing. Okay, so I also brought out some retired embellishments. They were called Enamel Dot Essentials, and they had Night of Navy, Crumb Cake, and White in them. And I thought the crumb cake even looked good on here. I thought the navy dots looked good. So I think I'm going to add a couple of those. even though the paper is navy, I think it looked all right here. So I will put a big one there. And a couple of medium ones, maybe like that. Okay, so just to give it a little something on the front. So there's our card, double book fold card. And I really like how it uses up the designer series paper. And I can see it being useful for a lot of the papers that we have. And I like that you're folding it offset so you can see the edges of the paper. I really liked that. So I will have all the measurements underneath this video in the comments, and you can see it there. I will show you another one I made, and it is using the Stippled Roses suite. And I did use the celebration paper that we had. So it's the one that was Pool Party, Wild Wheat, and white. So I've used some retired ribbon on this, but this one is a Mother's Day card, as you can see. So I used from the Stippled Roses dies. I used the dies there, and I just used all the dies that are in that suite. And I was thinking, depending on who this is going to, I might stamp some more words on here. I have a feeling it's going to a friend of mine, so I may stamp some things about her being my friend. Okay, so that one looks like this. And I just stamp the leaf here and enjoy all the little moments. And that comes from the Happy Easter, the Easter Bunny set, which sadly is retiring, as is the punch. So if you want that, you'll have to jump on it before it disappears. All right, so that's the second card I made. And I did emboss here, and I'm seeing my bows moving around a lot. I may put a blue dot underneath that because I don't like the way that bow is moving. All right. I am also going to use some of the designer series paper on my envelope for this particular one here. And for the Mother's Day one, I used the Stippled Roses paper that I used on the front, and that will go with that one. So that's how those will look. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, I'd love you to give me a thumbs up. I hope everybody has a great week, and if you need any help, please contact me through my website, and especially if you're looking for some retired things that are retiring. All right. Hope everybody has a great week.